Patrick Brooks here for the Heavy Underground Farm Report. Today we have an interview with John Gist, promoter of the Planet Desert Rock Weekend Series. We have 5 coming up, so let's get to it. Yeah! Hey, this is S. Patrick Brooks with a Heavy Underground Farm Report, and I have John Gist with me today. I'm super excited. John is a promoter of the Planet Desert Rock Weekend. He's moving into his 5th one. There's my hand, 5th one. It's amazing. John also does a podcast on Spotify. The guest list is Rock Dead, and of course we know it's not, although you would think it might be from mainstream media's coverage of that. John's a massive influence on our scene. And so I feel super honored that he takes some time and talk with us today. So, hey, John, I mostly wanted to talk about your show that's upcoming. I went last year. It was one of the best times I ever had. I had a fantastic weekend. Yeah. And, I think more people should know about it. We'd definitely like to see some more people there. But I just wanted to give you a chance to talk about it here at the beginning. Did you think you'd be doing a 5th Planet Desert Rock Weekend?
It depends when in life that question was posed. After the number 2, where I lost a significant amount of money, I maybe have never recovered completely from that.
Oh, man.
It was years before I did 3. And so I've done 3 and 4 back-to-back years. And just people are telling me, they're like, keep doing this. This is ridiculously fun. Yes. It's cool. People are cool. The environment's cool. The music, the bands. I discover new stuff every time. And I love that because that's the goal, right on. Is to get people to know there's more really good bands. And these really good bands, to have more people know about them. So I love it, and you have great energy. I loved having you there.
It was so much fun.
Did you really say you didn't smoke any weed?
Oh no, I smoked weed. So I remember us talking, you saying something on Facebook, and I was just like, I don't want him to think I didn't have a good time. I had a fantastic time. No, but Denver's kind of a different scene. So in Denver, it's just so open, and I was just making a compare. I had a great time in Vegas, and I smoked lots of weed, and the weed in Vegas was really good too. I was really impressed. It was oh well, excellent. So I'm from Northern California originally, so I'm a little.
You get the smoking culture, but in Vegas, dude, we passed Nevada passed legalization the exact same year for recreation as California.
Yeah.
And we got it done in half the time.
Right.
We were just, obviously it's a smaller city, but the city was prepared.
It was super fun. And no, I just didn't want you to think my experience in that way, John, was fantastic. Yeah. I'm a little more nervous about flying into Texas and seeing what's going on in Texas, but I can make it a couple days if I have to.
People say that. Listen, so I've flown into Texas every year. I'm a guy. So you told me a little bit of where you're from. I'm from the East Coast.
Okay.
And I grew up right outside of Washington, D.C. in the suburbs of Virginia. Yeah, in suburban Virginia. And I lived in the South later on. I lived in each state in sequential order. It was very strange, not on purpose. College in North Carolina, lived at the beach, an internship in South Carolina, lived in Atlanta, and then landed in Orlando for 10 years.
Okay, all right. Right down the coast.
Yeah, it's a crazy journey. And now I'm out here in Vegas for 14 years. But I forgot what we were talking about.
We were talking about, surprisingly, we were talking about smoking weed. So that fits right in perfectly.
I took a little hit beforehand, so that never helped. I need to relax.
Yeah, man. Actually, before we hit on your show, I'm super excited to see people at RippleFest. And I think there's some interesting comparisons and contrasts to your show and what they do at RippleFest. And I'll tell you, the one thing that makes me nervous about going to RippleFest is I feel like I've had to be in training so I don't die at RippleFest from the heat.
All right, so
tell me, are my fears unfounded or?
Well, here's how I look at it. Planet Desert Rock really is not trying to compete.
Yeah, right.
anyone who's paying any kind of little bit of attention to like the lineups, how it's set, each year's crafted. They're crafted.
Yeah.
I mean, period in a sentence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely want to. I want to talk
to
about that for a while when we get back to it. So
yeah, and so, but it's a smaller lineup. I cannot afford to go the heavy headliners of our scene. I mean, they're just if I'm here to tell people. I mean, and you can say, hey, bands deserve what they can get. Well, but they're getting less people buying that because not as many people can afford, a band to come over for a festival. Really,
I know
different
exactly
rates.
what you're saying.
It really is strange, but we just aim to kind of make it more of a party at the same time. Really cool bands,
Cool bands. Like when you
so many people know each other, and everything else.
So that's the sense that's the sense I got out of it, John. And I'll tell you, when I didn't know you, and I was pretty new to Facebook and the whole scene that was happening on Facebook, and but I was really familiar with Black Elephant. I love Black Elephant. And so when I saw that you're putting on a show and I saw that Black Elephant was going to be there, I thought, well, geez, I probably will never have another opportunity to see Black Elephant. So it was in the back of my head. And then when you announced Space Slug, I looked at Andrea and I was like, I'm buying tickets right now. And she was like, cool. I have relatives that live there. We'll have a great time. And, so your lineup, you talked about crafting it. I think it's a little more interesting than just your typical headliners that we would see in the scene. Unida, for example, you have to be absolutely stoked about that.
Yeah, I mean, I go way back with Arthur C. and Mike Encino. They played also with the band House of Broken Promises. And the first show I ever did put together was House of Broken Promises. So I've known Arthur particularly for a long run. And Unida's played at least 2 Vegas shows for me.
Excellent.
And I also saw him at RippleFest Texas. And I saw him over at SoCal Heavy Jam. So I've seen him 4 times. And people go, oh, what's the point of Unida without Garcia? I hear you. I love Mr. Garcia, but I like Unida songs.
Yeah.
And I've heard this guy sing them, and everything works out great. And Arthur is just slaying it.
I've learned to trust you.
Arthur's like a primary writer of the band to begin with. So, love Mr. Garcia. He played 3 different Planet Desert Rocks over the years.
That would be fantastic. So, are you happy with? There's still one more band to announce. Am I right about that?
There is.
Yeah. So, do you have a timeline for that?
For Saturday, and then Sunday I got 2. I need a headline for that day, but it's not going to be as big, because Sunday's more of an extra ticket. Here's a night.
I'm planning
5 really good bands again.
We're definitely planning to stay for that.
There's going to be a curveball going at people. They're going to be like, that's weird. That's interesting. And I like doing it.
I so appreciate that. You had bands last year that I wouldn't have expected to see that absolutely blew my mind. Beastmaker was one. Their set was absolutely fantastic on a night absolutely packed with talent. That set really stood out to me. I love Borracho. They were great right before that too. So I appreciate you not bringing back the same bands every year. Like we have this reggae fest out.
It's a 2-year wait. It's a good question. Two thing rate. So other than the bigger bands, so which in this case, the bands I got coming back are ones that played 1 or 2, more 2.
How about
3 international ones?
You got to be stoked about Omega Sun coming back.
Yeah.
I am.
I saw something in them very early, way over in Slovenia and all that, and I even tried to get them on a label, but the label was already taking on a lot of stuff at the time, and it was like, all right, well, all right, and they put name your price and shit, and so people more and more being able to hear it, and that kind of style of heavy rock, it's not as abundant, we'll say, but it's certainly well deserved. It fits for many of us that like stoner, we like grunge.
Yep.
and some Doom for good measure works, and they're really that.
Yeah, they definitely appealed to that part of my musical taste. I actually found out about Omega Sun through something that you posted, so that was a great find for me.
I would say quite a few people hopefully have, because I've championed it for a long time, and when they started, I don't even think they had a. When I saw them, they didn't even have 1,000 fans or whatever. So it's good to see them plugging away. They have a new album. It's great.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Beastmaker. I'm going to see Saturday night Trevor from Beastmaker,
Okay.
but playing with Haunt.
Oh, yes. They're coming to Denver too. I hope I didn't miss them. My work schedule's been weird lately. So
He's a great
yeah,
guy, too.
they seem super nice. And Haunt, I have listened to them.
Yeah, it's new wave of British metal.
Yeah, it's cool though.
It's not,
Yeah, and I like a little variety in my rock and roll. So yeah. So you do a really good job of bringing in a variety of bands, interesting bands. Like last year, Flames of Durga was really interesting to me and kind of unexpected. And I wasn't familiar with Spiral Arms really before your show, and so that was a treat.
Comeback.
And it turns out,
comeback.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
One-time show.
And it turns out, that Andrea actually has connections with like some guy who used to play in a band with back here, and we ran into him at a show, and he just happened to mention that Spiral Arms like out of the blue, and it's like we just saw those guys. So stuff like that is really cool about the bands that you're bringing in. One of the bands that I've been listening to a lot that you've posted some music by is am I going to say it right? Samaveo. Samaveo, that's what I'm trying to say.
But I really don't know. So
man, they are smoking hot.
They are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
they don't sound like a band they'd be from Germany. That's weird because the name. It's just,
that's how Sandweiss hit last year.
It does sound German. You know what I mean? But man, their catalog is great. They've been around like 25 years or something. I think they even had a radio hit over there in Germany. I mean, they played like hard rock, heavy rock, stoner rock. I mean, they even had a little bit of a called a Tool phase. Pretty heavy album, like Baton, and maybe that other album right around there. It was really, really heavy. The latest one they did had the frontman from Elder playing on one of the songs.
And the albums that you've posted have been fantastic.
Song, I think.
John, what do you think? You're looking at a wide variety of bands there. What do you think pulls those bands together and makes your show? I mean, I have my own ideas, but the shows last year seemed very cohesive despite the varying styles. Do you think there's something that ties those bands together in some way?
No, just
good.
I mean, I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
Part of it is the vision, but a lot of it ends up being some logistical stuff if you're not careful. And so you're kind of having to, someone's like, hey, listen, we got this other show that we can get on Friday. Can we move to Saturday? I mean, a lot of times I'm like, I'm already kind of sunk in. Like I basically have my dailies already written out. Probably told most of the bands. So it's, I think when I look at this piece of paper that's blank.
Yeah.
And then I start writing down bands that I kind of feel like would be a cool thing for next year. And then you just, you start calling and talking or texting, and, it just kind of, it's not an easy process necessarily at all. I mean, it's not even done until it's done. And in this situation, I got to do all the marketing. And so I've been doing marketing since like 94.
Okay.
It doesn't mean I'm great at every single type of marketing because marketing is very broad.
Yeah.
But I've been doing Facebook ads and stuff like that. And running full campaigns, email, whatever. And so that takes a lot of time, energy, effort, and it can take a lot out of you, when you don't get the results you're hoping for.
I can
spend X amount of money, you need X amount of tickets sold. You know what I mean?
Sure. John, ultimately, are you doing it because you just enjoy it? I know that like one of the common themes, and when I talk to people,
I won't enjoy it if I'm losing money. I want to make that clear. Like, I'm not going to enjoy it. I don't have the money to enjoy such a luxury. I'm not that guy.
No, I got that.
So I need it to be a beautiful piece of art, and some people love to come to and they feel it. They feel the vibe. I try to be the host of the party as much as possible. At
Yeah.
the same time, I set a playlist between sets of our music instead of relying on some DJ or sound guy that doesn't know shit about
Right.
us. We need to take care of ourselves when we can. So I got a sound guy that loves this scene. They're probably coming at least one, if not 2 nights, coming in from like
Right on.
yeah, he's a really great sound guy. We'll put it that way.
Fantastic.
He was the Saturday night one from this
The
year.
sound last year was the
Right?
sound last year. So I'd never been to a
Wasn't
club.
that high
Like
level?
Count Vamped was like a different experience for me. I'd never been to a rock club that was, I mean, just
Nothing like it, Harvey.
classy, and then like real lights, not LED stuff, and like the sound system was sick, and like it didn't matter where I sat in
Yes.
the room, it sounded amazing, and it was a comfortable and
That
it was a
sound-
comfortable room. I got to sit down and
Oh.
eat and have a drink.
Yeah.
I didn't drink, but I had a Coke, and it was like
Yeah.
I remember leaving the first night, and I was like, I can't believe we get to come back here tomorrow night and see more bands. And yeah, it's so. And then
I take it for granted because I go like once, twice a week. But when I do Planet Desert Rock there, I get to feel it off other people.
Oh my gosh.
And they kind of revitalize that. I open my eyes a bit more. And then you look up and the lights above you are big drum sets.
So yeah, I have
There's
pictures
little
of all that
detail-
stuff. It's amazing.
There's a Scorpion mural from Blackout.
Yeah.
There's an Ozzy mural.
Oh my gosh, I saw that tour, John.
Which one?
Blackout tour.
Oh, wow. I saw Love at First
Oh
Sting.
my
but
gosh,
wow,
it's so awesome.
I love Blackout.
Yeah, I Scorpion's like, guitar playing's so good. So
loved it. It was my first concert ever was Scorpions with Fastway
my God.
opening up. That's the first concert I ever went to.
Oh,
like my freshman year of high school.
that is insane. Yeah, the time I saw Scorpions, I saw them in Anaheim at a big old stadium show, and Iron Maiden opened for Scorpions. I'm pretty sure it was on the Blackout tour. It was insane. Like you say that to I say that to the kids at work, and they're just like, well, first of all, they're like, how fucking old are you? And then
and they're like, who's Iron Maiden? No, I'm joking.
yeah, but they know.
Is that a rapper?
So hey, what do you think? Do you I thought the crowd, I thought there was an interesting diversity in the crowd last year in age group. I think it's like critical to
it's pretty Gen X.
Yeah, mostly. But you know what? I'm like starting to talk to kids who are listening to the music more and more. I talked to Chris from Valley of the Sun, and he was of the belief that more and more kids want to hear real people playing real instruments. And then I go to work in a dispensary with a bunch of 20-year-olds, and we listen to 7.5 hours of EDM. So,
well, I mean,
the truth has got to be somewhere in the middle of that, though. Because when I play Valley of the Sun in there, or I play, what did I play the other day? I played something I just thought
I got
Mifu or something, and they actually like
Villagers.
it. What's that?
Play Villagers of Iron Indiana City, Age of Aquarius in there from front to back.
All right.
People will be asking you, what the hell is this?
I love.
Wow.
Yeah, I get that.
It emits.
Earthless brings that reaction. Earthless brings that reaction. That people are like, what are you listening to? So,
I don't love instrumentals.
Oh, see, man, I'm a big instrumental guy.
I love Isaiah. I know him very well.
You know what?
I love Isaiah.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I think he's the best guitarist in the world, but I do not like instrumentals much. I don't know what it's a mental thing.
No,
I know.
I'm so glad you brought that up because it's one of the things I wanted to ask you about and I wanted to talk to you about is that one of the things when I started following you on Facebook, the bands that you were recommending were really heavy on the vocals, and I came from more of the instrumental background. So I listened to a lot of Space Slug, and I listened to, with the vocals are sparse on the albums I was listening to, or I listened to bands like El Supremo, or Earthless was a big one for me. So I was impressed that one of the reasons I didn't listen to a lot of vocals in June were because I couldn't stand them. I really, to this day, am not a big fan of really crusty, harsh vocals. I like people, maybe it's my age, but I like people who can sing. And
Same here.
yeah, and yeah,
But
that's
that's
what I
just
liked
our
about the
preference.
bands that you were recommending. Like the first time I
Thank
heard
you.
Scorpion Child, or the first time I probably am missing some really good examples, but even in
Oh
like
yeah,
Flames of
Hawk.
Durga or Warlung, even like the
Oh
vocals are
yeah,
really good. So
really
yeah,
good.
so that
They just played here again
nice. I know I saw
a
that.
couple weeks
Yeah,
ago,
they're
like
the
a month
nicest
ago, and
guys.
they were really good. Like their harmony vocals were in perfection. They had done a bunch of shows, so they were really like in the stride. It was great to see. And the set that they
Harmonizing
did at Planet Dance
vocals.
Rock was it Vamped?
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, that so I'm a big fan of like I'm an old Van Halen fan. I like
Yeah,
grew
same
up
here.
Beach Boys albums. I had them in my house. The harmonization is
Same here as a little
nice.
kid.
So yeah, I was impressed with that. Is that like the initial thing that draws you to a band then, John? Is the vocals?
It is. It is, but songwriting, or there's got to be something going on song wise for me that's a little more of a catch. Other songs could be a grower later on, and so I allow that within my model or method that I use when I try to discover new music. I kind of put it in a big pot
Yeah,
in on my phone and get some shuffle action going. Of course, when there's new albums, I try to give it a full listen,
sure.
front to back.
There's
On
so
a lot of
much.
them. Yeah, there is a lot, but I'm picky, so I can weed through pretty quick.
I'm,
I'm pretty picky.
oh my
I'm
gosh,
all
I'm
right.
still figuring out. I'm
Like
still
I'm
figuring
really
out
picky.
what to listen to and what not to listen to. So I'm getting better at.
Oh, I can't tell you what I wouldn't want to listen to. I mean, I told you I don't listen to instrumentals.
Yeah, I don't like the.
Costa Stewie's pretty cool when you got a little
Yeah, I
buzz.
like that, but like technical death metal, I'm probably not spending a lot of time there or anything with.
Never in my life would I spend
Yeah,
any time there or in rap, hip hop. I really don't have any major plans of country, but I might get pulled in because the ladies are fine over there, and I'm a single man. I mean, the country scene supposed to be great. I mean, I'm single. You got
yeah.
a girl. It's great. So, but I'm hearing a lot of people our age is over there. And that's sad. We just haven't created a new rock and roll scene that can be feeling kind of in again.
Yeah, I
So
think so too. Like I don't. It's interesting what you said.
cover bands still rule the club circuit
What's that? I'm
at the
sorry.
highest level. Cover bands or
Yeah.
tributes,
How do you feel
they
about?
rule a lot of venues and towns and certain things. And it's because money.
Yeah.
It's just easier to get people into it.
How do you feel about like
So
going to see
particularly
those?
Gen X.
Yeah. Do you like those shows? Do you like seeing a good tribute band?
Oh, I do it every weekend, but
Yeah.
we'll cover a tribute. Yeah, I mean, listen, I got 2 nights a week I go out. Maybe during the week if there's something special show wise, and then I go to see live music.
Yeah.
And so I go down to Counts Vamps, and that's what they'll play over half the time is cover bands, but they have like very high end cover bands.
No,
I just
I
heard
follow them on
Alice in Chains
Facebook,
one
and
that blew me away.
it's like, man, I wish I like. Not only do they have a great place to go see shows, they're getting great. Yeah, like we have a place here in Denver, and if anybody's listening is associated with Cheers, no offense, but it's a freaking dive bar, but they
Yeah,
get some good cover bands or tribute bands, I should say more accurately. But yeah, I think man, it sure be nice to go into a beautiful atmosphere like you guys have there.
yeah.
Do you?
And the band quality is usually pretty high there, my
Yeah, you
man.
guys had.
For the most part, not always, but for the most part.
How was the live scene in Las Vegas? Like, well, let me just tell you. So here was my experience. I was super excited for a month for Heavy Temple and Valley of the Sun to come in, and the show was
Right.
pretty heavily promoted in Denver. And when I got there, it's just seems like there should just be more people at these.
How many people were there?
Man, maybe 200. So
Dude, that's unbelievably good.
well,
Your town is one of the biggest
so
for supporting bands.
yeah, but
3 times more than we had.
and I know what you're saying is true because I go to shows all the time, and that's the crowd that it's a Friday night, and it just seems like why aren't there 600
Impressive.
people here? Is it why do you think that is? Do you think it's the music or
Because they don't know about it. People don't know about this music.
and it's just
I mean, we talk like people do, and there's more people hear about it every day, but it's not any major
No, I
velocity.
know.
And there's people fading out almost probably the same percentage.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? A lot of people are so negative about the scene. Like they're like, oh, it's just never going to be like it was. And they're not,
yeah.
the early days or, oh man, I'd rather just listen to my Fu Manchu or whatever. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know why you wouldn't want to,
do you think there's something
support
in like? Do you
music.
think, John, there's something in your like, I don't know, your DNA, the way you're made up, or maybe the way that I'm made up, or like someone like Sunil sings made up that just like I get bored with older stuff. Not that I don't throw on my old Black Sabbath albums every once in a while, but like
Yeah, they're fun.
I feel like I need to constantly have something new to listen to. Do you have that need?
Well, I'm an ADHD person.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Me
there's
too.
a certain amount of here.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Maybe it's that.
that's part of it. So, and it just, I get burned out. I took 10 years off of Led Zeppelin,
Mm-hmm.
and they're one of the most important bands in the history of the world for me,
No.
ever. And love them. But I had to go like 10 years. I just was like, I'm hating them.
Yeah.
I love this band. I respect this band. I don't want,
Yeah.
I just want to get away and just push myself for other music. So I've always been into finding and seeking music and then sharing. Since the tape at lunch table.
Yeah, no, I mean, I grew up the same way. I remember the first time I heard somebody brought me The Decline of Western Civilization on a tape that they taped off somebody else's tape, probably from somebody's album. And, the quality was terrible, but I remember there being like something real special about the music on that album. And that's the kind of feeling I get from a lot of the music that I listen to in this scene. That's not punk rock, obviously, but one of the things I like about the scene is there's a lot of do-it-yourself type of that type of culture. People are like,
Oh, there is, because we can't afford anything else.
sure,
Because there's no money. Everything is about. I mean, I hate to be
no. I
that guy.
think it's important to talk
with
about
stock.
this. I think it's important to talk about
I
this.
mean, everything's about. I mean, I went and kind of. I love to follow the money. Previous jobs I had in marketing and stuff, and budgets. $100 million budgets some years.
Yeah.
Back in a different part of my life, we'll say. And this stuff is, you just got to kind of go from where it's going and just look through it all. And then you find out, all right, who's the players? And you got to look at the different factors of the players. Management companies are a massive part of things as you get a little bit bigger. And that includes like their agents, And so, like Fu Manchu, I'll give you for instance, they're in a big time agency, like big. You know what I mean? And if it's kind of scattered around, but the ones that are in the big time agencies, they're now priced out for like us DIY guys.
Sure.
Really, I don't have any funding. I mean,
no, it's like there's like that.
That can help.
That's like there's that upper echelon or class of.
But bands keep moving to that, which is great. But
fantastic, I agree.
I just think they're. I think that I think they're like, well, we're only going to get invited to do maybe a couple shows, anyways, in America, so it's got to be a high price.
Yeah.
But meanwhile they're going to a tour.
Yeah.
You're like,
how
just come on.
How worried are you?
You want to make some money and play music at a cool thing? I mean, I don't. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm gonna send a message to a certain band that I want. And I'm just go, here's the deal. I'm going to break it down. Each person, this is how much you get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now you're going to break it down for people. Or are you going to walk away from it? Oh, okay.
Fair enough.
I guess you'll make $1,000 in one day at home. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is.
Sure.
It's just, there's a strange part of all those processes. I talk, this really isn't just from my experience, Mr. Brooks. This is from me knowing other people and talking about their experiences and being a co-writer with them and everything. So I like to learn, never at school and on the books. I like to learn in real life, and you build and you craft from there. You see the mistakes, you make the mistakes, which I've certainly done. And I'm happy that it's reignited Planet Desert Rock, to have each year people asking about it, new people coming each year. So the pre-sales, I mean, I got that thing for sale like a month later. I'm like, all right, here's 5 bands, let's go.
Man,
it was just that was the affirmation I needed to keep going too.
Now we were,
Because, I mean, how am I going to, because like, hey, I've gone a month where I've had like one sale in this last 40 days. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I can freak out. But there's 5 months left in the.
Well, hopefully, hopefully through like things like this, some other people find out about it, or people who are on the fence, yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's like I said, it's the best time I had in just years. I'd never been to any kind of festival before, and so for me, it was just like it wasn't. The cool thing was it wasn't overwhelming, which was one of the things that I feared. Was it was just going to be too much, but no, I got to do other things in Vegas and spend time. I know we're talking about
We're never going to be for this year. We'll never have more than 300, probably more than even 280 people in there. Like we're not trying to cap it out at a 350 or anything like that. So it's limited tickets. So
well, it'll be a cool way to meet.
We don't want it that way. You know what I mean? So we want it comfortable, like you're saying.
So that's a weird dichotomy to the scene, or in the scene, I should say. There's that. We're talking about, gosh, like I'm talking about. I wish there would have been 500 people at that show, but do I wish there would be 500 people at that show from a selfish standpoint? One of the things I loved about your show was that I got to go and talk to the guys in the bands, and meet people and talk to people. Everybody was very open. It was very accessible.
It's a total social scene. I mean, I tell people this: you go to a bar, where there's rock and roll playing. You go to Planet Desert Rock. Yeah. All you gotta do is just start talking music. Yeah.
Exactly.
There's common denominator, and we all love the music, and we hear someone else hyping up this other band we're not familiar with. And we're like, oh, all right. Now you get a little more excited. I've gone through all of that. I'm a festival goer, so I'll be at RippleFest.
Yeah.
I've been to Maryland Doomfest, and that's as a guy who does fest. I mean, Ryan Garney, he played Planet Desert Rock 3, and he didn't come over last year. And I'm like, dude, you got to make it over this year, you got to come out.
It'll be. Oh man,
hang out. Yeah,
that's cool. You're obviously.
I love going myself, and so as a festival goer, I think there were some things I was always thinking about and observing and visualizing, and it was kind of more of like a jigsaw puzzle. Even when I decided to do shows, I talked about it with a couple dudes I knew, and they weren't really that optimistic about it. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm doing it.
I'm glad you did.
These people suck. I was like, these people suck. They're not. How would anyone even know? I could literally list, 10 different things that bands constantly are screwing up when it comes to like marketing and media and all. It's brutal to watch, and venues as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a venue or two that didn't even have the show made up on Facebook. So it's not even in that universe for someone to discover. If one person discovers the show, it's worth you taking 5 minutes out of your fucking time. That's why a lot of this stuff's not working. Even people with money, some of these bands are still dropping the ball. Yeah. They have their own vision. And it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy to watch.
It's intimidating.
Maybe I'm being overly.
So I think it's really intimidating. Like I've had an interesting experience with a band in Denver this week, Cobranoid, and I knew those guys before they released their album. And they released their album. Their album's fantastic, and it's getting.
I need to listen to it.
You really should. It's fantastic.
Oh, I know. I did.
But talking to them too, they're like, you can see it, and I don't mean anything insulting by any means, but it's like there's a little bit of that deer in the headlights look, like, holy shit, this is happening really fast. And it's pretty exciting to watch that. But I think, a lot of bands don't really know what to do next. And so I think you see a lot of bands that have potential that are doing what you're doing, talking about dropping the ball or not making the connections they should make with either the media or fans or promoters or like
everyone.
Yeah, it's I think a lot of bands expect those things to happen to them instead of understanding that, especially in this scene, you have to make those happen yourself. Do you think that's a true statement?
I think. Wait, repeat
so
that last
do you
part?
think that, I think a lot of bands think that somebody's going to make that happen for them. But in this scene, it's very much something that you kind of have to do yourself.
I mean, it depends. I think it's case to case.
Okay.
There's no broad brush how some of these bands get it or not. Some bands think they're doing it all, and they're doing a bunch of stuff, but they're not even doing it good. So then that fucks up. Like I've seen bands do ads where they're boosting an ad, and it's coming to me, but the show's in Connecticut or something.
I get a lot of that too.
Like,
sure.
I mean, maybe we've all made that brief mistake, but
yeah,
it happens more than you think, and then you see what all's on it, and it's just people going, "Oh, I can do marketing real quick. Oh, it's no big deal." And all of us that went to school for marketing have done it for years. We're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
How's that working out for you?
Well, I just started doing this kind of stuff, so it's like it's so intimidating. There's like so much stuff going on, so I can't even imagine.
I've conquered a lot of my fears.
I'm sorry.
In this scene, I've conquered a lot of my fears in this scene.
Yeah. Do you think you talked about some ADHD things, and Scott Spires and I talked a little bit about how doom metal seems to be a healing force in our lives, from a recovery standpoint. Do you think that?
But what do you mean doom?
Like just the desert rock scene, but in particular for me, it was pretty doomy stuff. Like it was like Bong Ripper type stuff, and I really like Black Capricorn type, pretty dark, like stuff that seems pretty dark, but like that's not how it came across in my brain. It came across more healing.
Yeah.
Do you think this music like helps you in other aspects of your life, like just day to day, like
Yeah. I mean, I have a variety. I mean, I don't have as big a variety. I almost said I have a variety, but in truth, I don't.
Yes,
compared to some people, they're so ADHD.
Sure.
They can listen to reggae 1 minute and hardcore rap the next, and then Metallica. And I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm like, my things are, well, I can go and listen to some psychedelic stuff.
No, your stuff is pretty consistent.
A little centering, depending on what we're listening to. And other times I put in a big melting pot. I'm not a slow doom guy either.
Yeah.
So I'm not a punk guy. I'm not a slow doom guy. I'm not an instrumental guy. I got a few. That's why I'm kind of picky.
So when you were in high school, you talked about sitting at the table. I remember this from your interview with Scott. Talked about sitting at the table with the guys, in their collared shirt, golf shirt kind of things, and talking about metal.
Yep.
That was kind of my experience too. I didn't have that long-haired group of guys who were like listening to Metallica. I had like pretty regular suburban dudes who were into Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. I played baseball.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you were like in more into the jock side. I was like a student council guy, and I was like,
oh wow,
I actually studied and went to classes, and I know it doesn't appear that I did, but I actually was okay at school. So, but that was kind of my scene. So yeah, but there weren't a lot of people listening to metal in that scene either. So
there wasn't at the beginning.
Yeah, like, but that's
really
true, because by the time I graduated in '85, like Def Leppard was freaking the biggest thing.
Yeah, I was 87.
So
so I got those next 2 years were massive.
Yeah.
Like Maiden and Priest.
Girls were listening to heavy metal and stuff like that.
MTV was full throttle before they were called racist. They were full throttle doing amazing things for rock and metal.
Yeah.
And it just kept going. 80s were the peak. But when I got to college, I was out of metal, like mostly out of metal within a year, and listening to college.
Did you go through
REM, early U2, Pixies, Sonic Youth,
sure,
Faith No More, and then next thing you know, Alice in Chains, first album. My buddy gave me the tape, and I had Louder Love, Soundgarden, and everything just kept going. Nirvana and Pearl Jam kicked in later in Mudhoney, and I was like, yep.
Okay.
I loved Nirvana.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I don't give a fuck with any. Their first two albums, even the first three albums, most of it's really, really good. And even the Insecticide one, that's got gems.
I'll corner you in Texas and tell you my Nirvana story. That's embarrassing.
Oh, tell me.
All right. I'll tell it really quick. All right.
Well, how long is it?
Oh no, we'll skip. I'll tell you in Texas, because nobody's tuning in to listen to me. They're tuning in to listen to you. So.
Oh, hey. you asked about weather in Texas.
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
get back to that.
All right. So remember, I'm an East Coast Southern boy for the most part.
So you could do a little
I'm not really
humidity, I'm
Southern, but to a
assuming.
point. I'm going to tell you this. Don't wear a black shirt on Friday and Saturday because it's outdoors. You're bringing the sun in. All right. So make sure you wear one of your yellows or whites or pastel or green.
Excellent.
I only have a limited number of those. So I might even wear some I've worn previous.
Yes, my entire wardrobe is black and gray with the occasional. Yeah, I think I have a green sleep shirt. Maybe I'll take that out.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. So that's one thing. Wear as little clothes as possible.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I was wondering. So I used to do a lot of fishing, and when I'd fish when it was really hot, I'd wear long sleeve, really light shirts, and keep the sun off my skin. But it's really dry in Colorado, so it's different. It's like Vegas, you know.
You're gonna wake up with sweat.
Yeah,
you're gonna sweat like a fucking hog, man.
All right, cool.
You're
That's all I needed to know, man.
Body didn't even have to.
That's all I needed to know, man. That's right.
You're not even prepared.
Really, I arranged this whole interview to see if you could help me survive Texas. So thanks. That's what I was looking for right there.
Okay, wear less clothes. I'm not done yet. You think I'm done? There's more to this, dude. What the fuck? So you gotta wear less clothes. You don't wear a fucking black shirt. Yeah. All right. You gotta drink water, like a lot of water. Just drink water. They'll have good food there.
Okay.
They have a couple food truck kind of things, setups. I wish they had even more. They had 3 one year.
Okay.
And there's even a seating area. So that's pretty cool.
So there's a seating area. That's good to hear.
A little bit of one. Yep. Bunch of picnic table style seating.
All right. Perfect.
Yeah.
If I could sit down once in a while, that's cool.
I mean, this place is huge. I mean, it's pretty big.
I'm excited to see it. I don't even think I've seen pictures from previous RippleFest, but I guess I should do some research.
Check out. Get this, dude.
Okay.
I did a You Need a video.
All right.
It was first my song, and I did like 5 different videos of them, and I was up like second,
hell
third,
yeah! All right, I'll check it out.
I was pretty much on the rail almost, and you'll get a view. It's a big stage, big.
So it's great. Tell me,
it's outdoors, so it's a different kind of sound.
Who are you excited?
The great thing that Ryan does and I do is there's no crossovers. Now, the way he does it is, as soon as the big stage is done for that set, literally the smaller stage starts within a minute.
Oh, okay, cool. It's good.
Yeah.
So who are you super excited to see at RippleFest, John?
Dozier.
Fuck me too. Hell yeah.
I don't even know if there's any other bands I'm thinking about. I just Dozier. I mean, there are. Like, I want to see Robots of the Ancient World. I haven't seen them yet. I missed them when they came to Vegas.
I've never seen Formula 400, and like I use their song on my on this show, and I love those guys. I'm super excited to see those guys and Shadow of Jupiter.
I've done a lot of shows with them. You know, done a lot of shows.
Yeah, I know, and I had to admit I was kind of hoping they'd be at Planet Desert Rock 5.
No repeats. 2 years.
All right, now I'll wait for 6 then.
But they're playing RippleFest.
Yeah, I'm so excited that, and then my
you know what time they start?
Yeah, so my plane lands in enough time for me to get my car and drive there before the show starts. So we're praying for no delay.
Hit this Formula 400 set starts at 4:20.
Yeah. What is that? Is that like some significant number of some sort I should know about?
I don't know. It's weird.
I know it's just 421 right now. I noticed and it was like, you know what? I'm going to be okay today. I can skip the 420.
Yeah, you'll be all right. But I'm really looking forward to Dozier. I've seen Truck Fighters before.
They're cool. Man, I'm excited for them too.
I've even had them for a show. Gozu, I think's playing. I love Gozu.
Tia Carrera's playing, and
instrumental.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a big one for
Very
me.
Good though. They're one of my favorites.
I'm super stoked for my friends in Astronaut. They got a really good slot. It'll be cool to see those guys somewhere besides Denver.
I just saw them. That's a long time.
Yeah, I know. It's like, man, and seeing Mark, like your show last year, like, man, Fatso Jetson, like, mind blowing. They just absolutely killed it. Like, yeah, no doubt. That's always when Sasquatch canceled, I was so disappointed until you announced I was like, oh well, Fatso Judson. Well, they're like on my my bucket list. It's like, well,
Right.
hell yeah, and they
Yeah,
did
I
great.
thought they were great.
Yeah, they were.
They were a band that I was already kind of wanting to do, but I just couldn't really add another band. So, I mean, Sasquatch hasn't done anything since.
Yeah, I I know. I'm a little disappointed. I hope I get to see him.
One of the best bands in the world.
Yeah, I bore my girlfriend to death with my best bands in the world lists on a nightly basis, and like
Oh,
so, yeah,
yeah.
they're always up there. Black and Black Rainbows lately. I've been spending a lot of time with her. You should get those guys to
Yeah.
come, man.
No, he's got his own festivals and stuff. He's from he's way too busy. The guy's got
Fair enough.
got a label like the Heavy Psych is like at least as big or bigger than Ripple, and
Yeah,
then he's got Black Rainbows. Then he works with or runs like a tour company too. All kinds of shit. Guy's working too much. He's not going to be able to come over to States.
so
He had his own festivals here, and he didn't come over to play.
yeah,
So
you talk about
I'm not
coming
gonna get him
over
over.
here, and you posted something that I found quite distressing about a month and a half ago, perhaps, or 2 months ago, and that was the increase of cost of visas for bands coming to the United States. I think that you may have discussed that. If it wasn't you, I apologize. But is that a
Right.
concern for you moving forward for your shows, or should it be a concern for all of us?
Yeah, it should be concerned.
Does it make things like RippleFest and Desert Fest happening within a week of each other in New York make a lot more sense because it's harder for bands to get visas? I mean, it's
Well,
not great for the fans, but it's good for the bands. And
they're getting a tour of about a week or so. It looks like that's the bands that are doing it
yeah,
mostly, and they just route.
yeah,
There's a couple different ways to route, but it's point A to point B, and so you just start looking at the cities and obviously, booking the ones that you think you have the best shot at. And yeah, I mean, it's there's just not enough people and money in heavy rock, stoner rock in general in America. So without that, then these increased cost of
sure.
things like outweighs the revenue potential. And so there's the problem.
So yeah,
so the bands do it with other mathematical parts to it, but the bottom line is here's all your costs and visas and travel and
what do you think the
stuff.
response would be if you had to double your ticket prices to accommodate that? How do you think that would affect your attendance?
Oh, I don't know.
Could you do it?
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be a harsh reality across the country.
I hear you, and I'd rather not do that. But my daily tickets were 40, 45, and 50.
So reasonable.
And no, but like Joe Schmo likes one band up there, they're not doing it, and so there's where I got to work on some stuff for locals.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think?
Because they're not that big of a fan base here to begin with of stoner rock.
Do you think that ticket price was restrictive then? Do you think that affected your
of locals? Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, and I think about that, and I guess there's so Primitive Man's playing here tonight with Nacho or Weekend Nachos. I'm not familiar with them. And the tickets are $50, and I just can't. I'm not forking out $50 to go see Primitive Man because that's the only band on the bill I'm interested in seeing. So,
see, and that's
yeah. So
you get the.
I'm answering my own question.
It's kind of how it works for some.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm more versed than most of these people in the stoner rock and doom and psych thing because it's a specialty. I'm not trying to like technical doom and fucking funeral.
Right. Thank you.
Me listen to funeral means
appreciate that.
I'm getting close to having my own funeral. That's what's it. You ever hear me posting my funeral doom? Checking in with me, see how I'm doing. Make sure
we'll be making sure you're okay.
If I got the wrong meds or I'm gonna kill myself. There's something wrong. But
no, same. Like I went and saw Sun. I know they're not a funeral band, but they're like a droney band, and like it was interesting to see it. I can't imagine like putting it on my stereo to listen to it. Like,
I tell you something funny. We just recorded Doomed and Stone finally the other day, and Magma Calmer it landed like high up, and we all love it.
Okay.
And my first thing I said is, well, if I'm going to get my Uncle Acid fill, this is where I'm going, because it's sure to hell not that other thing. I haven't even thought once about turning that on again.
Yeah.
Like, why would he ever listen to an Uncle Acid album where the guy's like, a bunch of people are like, is it Italy? I don't even know Italian. What the fuck? And I'm supposed to feel it through the recording? No. Get back to singing in a trash can. That's better. Whatever he was doing. But anyways, the Magna Comma or Magna Comma or whatever the hell they're called, that shit's good. That's really good.
Yeah. I
have you heard it?
No, I haven't. I'll have to listen to it.
Oh, do you like Uncle Acid or?
Yeah, I do. So I'm just, it's like drinking from a hot fire hose the last 3 months, John. Like I got on the Doom chart thing, and it's the emails just come in, and it's like,
yeah, I wouldn't look at all.
I can't. No, I don't even have time. Yeah, so I'm getting a little better at sorting stuff. But there's like, man, I know we're kind of off track here, but have you heard the Star Beast album?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
I did.
Man, I do too.
I mean,
so different.
It's different. It's cool.
Yeah, it's refreshing.
But it was fine. I listened to a lot of different and cool, but I thought he was good, different and cool.
Yeah.
And so I dig it. I'm definitely going back for seconds with that.
Yeah.
I like doing that with a band for an album that I heard, and I heard, I was like, because sometimes you hear it a second time, and there's like an extra stickiness, certain songs, and then other times you hear more of a song that you didn't really recognize before. So I mean, our mind is, looking at phones half the time when we're listening to music. There's TV in the background sometimes, and there's a lot of things. I've lived in ADHD world my whole life. It's certainly having cell phones has not helped the process.
Absolutely. No, I will do after I do my review, I go, if I review an album, I go back and listen to the album again just to make sure, like, okay, is this really what I was hearing, or was I just thinking about something else at the time? And I think that 80s.
Do you know how many album reviews I've done?
What's that?
Do you know how many album reviews I've done?
No. How many?
0.
Man, I've thought long and hard over the last few weeks about how many more I'm going to do. And 0 seems like one of the numbers that's coming up. I think it's very, here's the difficulty for me reviewing an album. And I mean, first of all, there's a ton of great writers out there, and I think there's a lot of that out there. But for me, it's just kind of the repetitiveness of reviewing an album. I mean, I worry that I'm going to run out of things to say at some point. I mean, I just want my reviews to like good or don't fucking listen to that. Or so I don't know. I think it's something I really enjoyed doing, but it's it's a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be after I started.
I also posed the question to myself when even contemplating it was, does anyone care?
Yeah.
Does anyone even read these? And if it's that's why even like I want to do Rock is Dead, the guest list again.
Yeah, because I care.
Platform change.
Do that. I care about that, man.
Platform change. So now I have to like tackle a whole new process.
Because you can't just use the music from Spotify anymore. That's So I just started a podcast on Spotify and ran into the same. Oh, damn. I was kind of hoping I could incorporate that into the podcast. It
was great.
Yeah.
Well,
I hope they reconsider
But anyways,
that.
it's probably had to do with, I don't know what it has to do with. Probably money.
Well, so
everything else is.
Can we talk about Spotify really quick? So I saw Formula 400 this morning post something about they asked people to follow them on Spotify. And this is a conversation I have when I'm boring my girlfriend to death and while we're smoking weed in the garage. And I'm like, bands don't realize what Spotify is for, in my opinion. What Spotify should be used for by these bands is for marketing. It's free marketing. People have access to all their music and they're touring, and you can buy merch. And I think what bands want Spotify to be is a revenue stream, and it's not going to be a revenue stream. And I think if bands approach Spotify a little differently with their attitude, that they might be more embracing of that of what that platform can really do for them. Do you think there's any validity in my thought
Yes.
process there?
100%. 100%, dude.
Yeah, it just seems
I
like
agree with
it
you.
drives me crazy when a band that I had never heard of until I heard them on Spotify tells me to not listen to them on Spotify. And it's like, but dude, I own your album because I heard you on Spotify, and I went to your show because I heard you on Spotify, and then I bought your album because I heard you on Spotify. And if
Yeah.
you don't have Spotify, I don't know who the fuck you are.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people stuck in like a default pattern of some things in the world and music. And maybe I'm cursed with kind of identifying it a lot of times, and sadly. And I try to work around or help or do something, but it's yeah.
So I saw John, I saw
Spotify,
Fishbone. I saw Angelo Moore. Fishbone's been around forever. And
you know where they're
he
from?
is taking time to bitch about Spotify when I'm seeing him live. And I'm thinking there's not a kid here who knows who everybody who here knows who you are because they heard you on Spotify. Like, it's like,
Well,
so it seems interesting
not
that
everyone.
maybe not, maybe I'm exaggerating for effect, but you know,
There's
it
some
seems
YouTube
interesting that
showing
even
this
at that level, someone who's been around the block as many times as Angelo has, that he would still have that attitude. I found that a little surprising.
It's just because they're stuck on this one metric and perception, but it's really not. I think you spun it and said it the right way. They're not looking at where the revenue it can actually be made on that.
Yeah.
So you can put merch and albums on there.
Like
your shows pop up.
Like, yeah,
your shows pop
you
up.
can buy shirts
to people in that region.
Like, yeah, okay, all right. I just want to make sure I'm not crazy here. Like, I love Bandcamp and I use Bandcamp, but I'd say 95% of the stuff I own on Bandcamp I heard on Spotify first.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I think I don't think it's that way with everyone. And
no, I know that's probably true.
Yeah, but there are some that do for sure. I think Andy Kovalchik,
yeah,
he's another guy. I mean, there's a lot of us that are like, we're like, listen, Spotify is a good thing. This thing that you're thinking about with the numbers and how much small bands never got paid anything to begin with anywhere. What time in the world?
Yeah, 0 times 0 is still 0, right?
1,000 fans gotten any money other than $100 to play down the street. So that's since forever. Yeah, I mean, so it doesn't mean it's right, but that's
We'll tell you what, John.
Can't complain like you're some unbelievable band that's played on radio and on TV and shit. Oh, and they're the ones that
do you think
are the ones that are going to lose money per se on that part? But physical media is gone down, obviously.
Yeah.
But vinyl's still popular,
Oh yeah, I
think there's a hardcore group of people that love vinyl, and you being one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, vinyl gives me a connection with the music that I grew up with, and yes, maybe it is nostalgia, but
yeah,
there was something very special about holding an album, reading the liner notes. If they printed the lyrics, you knew all the lyrics, because and that's like the music I knew was the music I owned or that my friends owned. So if
the radio,
yeah, or the radio. So
radio was great as a kid.
The radio was better, and the radio is a little more open-minded, especially you'd have your special shows on Saturdays, or I remember rushing through a date when I was a junior in high school because Iron Maiden was releasing Power Slave, and the radio station I listened to was going to play the whole album.
Oh, wow.
And I needed to get home to push play on my tape recorder. So I got the new Iron Maiden album because I couldn't afford to go buy it yet, probably because I was on some date with a girl. But yeah,
I saw them. That's
but yeah, there's not. Do you think? I think we're really missing that radio component as well.
We are, but it's follow the money, and it all goes back to the same shit.
Do you think there's an internet solution for that? Like possibly?
No, listen, so the law that really opened the gates for more of a monopoly, potential of Clear Channel, things like that, was turned over or whatever passed during the Clinton era, and it's been tough it's just gotten worse ever since. And so all you got to do is follow the money on the bands that hit top on the charts, and it could be rock charts, pop charts, whatever the fuck charts. And you just follow it. You look the person up, then look the band up, look the performer up, look the whatever up. You see where what their management company is, booking agency, and you start going through that aspect, and that helps you get a little glimpse. And of course, the record label. The record labels, we're down to 3 major record labels with the board of directors.
Yeah.
So, like Atlantic doesn't have a board. I mean, their board of directors doesn't matter because they got above them like Sony or whatever. So it's really like the old saying is, when you have fewer people, fewer things with this much power, it's always inevitably not a great thing.
Sure.
So we're fucked because it's a gamut, and this is 15 years where hip hop and rap, I mean, have made us their little bitch. I mean, we're literally like zero out there of anything. And those two things, along with country regionally, and of course, country's getting huge. People driven to them because they don't know that there's any good rock and roll anymore.
It's pop music with good guitar players.
There's no exposure for rock and roll.
Yeah.
The big movies, the commercials, there's only a little bit here or there. TV shows. Yeah. It's just culturally, it's damaged rock and roll in America.
Do you think there's any chance for that to swing back?
I think so.
I do too.
But I think it's, these companies are in the business, besides being place setters for people with a lot of power, is also to make money. And then they cash in on an opportunity, It's like when a big new thing happens. Next, you're signing bands.
Sure.
It used to be that way.
Oh, yeah.
But right now, they like signing artists. So they got one person to work with. They got to go through an agent, maybe. And that's it. Versus you working with a band, you got 4 personalities or 3 personalities, all with wives or girls or husbands.
Sure.
And it's probably more difficult. And when you make actual music with instruments and songwriting and heart and feel, it's harder than you just have some chick or dude talk, sing, rap, whatever. And then they make up computer stuff to do it. Yeah. The music.
Sure.
I mean, if that's that's the art that people are more into right now.
It's interesting.
Now, I explained the difference to many of my Uber drivers and Lyft drivers. This should be a TV show. It makes people that are around me really uncomfortable. I don't know why, but the Uber driver and Lyft drivers almost always love it. And I play some rock and roll for them, and I kind of explain that probably had heard this before. I'll even ask some of them, like, do you know what rock and roll is?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I bet.
And they don't really know. That's the answer. I'm finding okay. I mean, I'm asking, a 25-year-old cocktail waitress from the Philippines 1 minute. The next I'm, asking Cuban guys. We're doing Spanglish together.
Like
what little Spanish I'm able to piece together.
Yes, our Uber rides and
my ex-wife and other Latina relationships. So in me and these guys, the Cubans, they want to learn. So they're like, all right. And I'm like, this is rock and roll. You probably didn't have a lot in Cuba. And he's like, well.
Our Uber rides in Vegas were just like that. People like, what were you doing? You were seeing what?
I play like Rival Sons and I play like Pressure and Time. So there's a lot of instrument beats to it, because the pureness of rock and roll is like in a band like Rival Sons, which is like what Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin did, is each instrument at times had breathing room in many parts of songs at times.
Yes.
So they're like Fairies Wear Boots. If you listen to that, how the breakdown is, it's really cool. If you got someone that can come up with a creative bass line, bass lead, little section or drum, guitars added. Rival Sons does all that kind of stuff on Pressure and Time. At the very end, they literally, each instrument goes, tick. And you have to tell people about it, because anyone under like 35, I mean, not anyone, but most under 35 just don't know anything about what rock and roll music is. They don't know history. They don't know.
No, you're right.
Like,
no, I work with John. I work with a group of kids. I work with a group of kids. They're in their mid-20s, and it's shocking to me what they don't know. But it's also encouraging that, like, even if I'll play something for a while, and then they'll like, hey, check out this EDM thing. I think it sounds kind of like what you're listening to, and it's like, It does kind of sound like it, so why don't you just listen to the real thing? But
Uh,
it's like, but you can't be too
I used to go to
heavy-handed
EDM
because then
travel
people
shows.
just don't want to listen to you at all. And but yeah, man.
Fine.
We'll tell you what, John.
I
I
don't
know
try to high pressure people.
but I've had you on the line for a while, and I'm assuming you probably have.
But wait, I got a question for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, sure.
What are two bands you're looking most forward to seeing at the upcoming?
So I will tell you that Valley of the Sun was my first ever official interview that I did with a band, and they were so
Cool.
cool. And I had listened to their albums a lot in preparation, so I'm a big Valley of the Sun guy right now. The
Okay.
German band that I cannot pronounce their name, I love everything I've heard, but really, like Mr. Bison, I was so stoked.
Oh,
Mr. Bison
I
and
know.
Sergeant Thunderhoof are
Nice.
like I can't even like wrap my head around, like, to me those are like the Black Elephant thing that happened. Like I
Yeah.
was sitting at a table with Debbie Lee and her boyfriend Scott, and I was like, I was like,
Great,
this
great
band that's about
folks.
to play Black Elephant, do you guys like them? They're like, we're not really familiar with them. And I'm like, you're about to like have your face ripped off. I mean, these guys
Right.
and then they came out and they just like melted the crowd. And so
Yeah, that guy rips.
so it was like, and he knew he just had the crowd in the palm of his hand too, and like we were just like our attention was all there, and like pretty much for every band there, but that one.
But no, they were easily one of the ones that stood out that night for me by far.
Yeah, that's amazing. How about you, John? What's the band? I know you're kind of in an interesting position, so maybe you don't want to play favorites, but what what are the two bands that you're most looking forward to seeing?
Well, I was going to say something about Mr. Bison. It's going to be interesting because I saw them the first time, and they were a trio, and all of their names were Mateo. Okay,
love it.
First off, all right, but they played at Bunkhouse, which was a great little venue. It was like a packed day. Like Saturna played also, and like I think it was Nebula, and later on it was a crazy day. But getting them on the Vamp stage is going to be really great. And they now have a multi-instrumentalist as well.
Oh, hell yeah!
And so that's why there's a little more depth in that.
All right, right on,
album, which is one of my favorite of the year.
I dig it.
I'm not, you know what I mean? Like that's really good, heavy psych, a little bit of prog.
That's my jam. I love that stuff.
Edible for a stoner. But my two bands I'm probably looking most forward to. That's hell was my lineup. It's going to be European bands because I haven't seen them yet. Germ would probably be my number one. Germ.
Yeah.
Jeremy, formerly known as Jeremy Irons and the Rat Gang Malibus.
I need to.
No wonder they changed it, but then they changed it to Germ.
So I've got to catch up on those guys. I'm behind on that one, so I will be.
You haven't?
No, I'll be indulging heavily.
Heavy psychedelic experience.
Right on, sweet. And who else, John?
Early on.
Huh? And who else, John? I mean, I'm looking at the lineup now, and I'm like, okay, everybody.
Probably Sergeant Thunderhoof.
Yeah.
But I mean, Fire Down Below.
Oh, gosh.
I picked these bands because I really like them. I want to see them too. Yeah. I mean, I've worked with them on and off for 3 or 4 years. Like I was part of their initial launch. I mean, they're getting 70,000 listens on Spotify right now. They're an amazingly accessible band.
Yeah.
Really good music.
Yeah, I was surprised too. I didn't know what to expect, but it wasn't that. Yeah, I just immediately, it was like, oh yeah, these guys are great. Yeah, you can listen. Like I'm looking at the whole list. Godzillionaire should be amazing. Green Desert Water was a recent addition. That's going to be great. Fireball Ministry is obviously fantastic. I think Generator.
Green Desert Water was at the same one as Mr. Bison's Return and Omega Sun.
You know,
it was like a few years back. I mean, like 5 years back or whatever.
So somebody convinced me about 2.5 years ago to get on Facebook, and I had avoided most social media and was not interested in being on Facebook. But she was like, "You're going to be able to follow the music that you like better," and I was like, "Whatever." So whatever. I got on, and it's turned out to be a wonderful thing in my life. I absolutely has turned me on to so much music, and I met so many cool people, and it's not exactly the experience that I was expecting. But yeah,
I think we
man,
got
I
a
can't even
good
imagine
community.
so I wish I would have been more open to that in the past and maybe seen some of those early Planet Desert Rock shows. It's like I feel like I really missed out by isolating myself in that
Totally.
way. So man, I'm like stoked that I like found you on Facebook and that I,
Yeah.
and I'm really glad that we've got a chance to talk a few times. It was great talking to you at the last show. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Man, if there's, obviously, I'd love to talk to you anytime. Looking forward to seeing you in Texas and hanging
Right
out for a
on.
bit. But if we get to,
See you in a couple
yeah,
weeks
man,
or whatever it is, 3
yeah,
weeks.
I appreciate you taking the time to do this. So I know you're a busy guy,
It's
man,
my pleasure.
and it's so much fun to,
Thank you for having me.
ah,
Thank you for having me, sir.
it's absolutely like an honor to have you. So like I said, I'm really, really stoked that I got to talk to you. I'm just going to wrap this up. Here, I'm going to stop
Right.
recording. Hang on one second. No, I'm not going to stop recording because every time I do that, someone says something amazing as soon as I stop recording. So, hey, but I'm going to edit this up in the next couple of days and hopefully have it out as soon as possible. And
Cool.
I'm going to throw this on my Spotify channel too as a podcast. So,
Oh,
and
nice.
then man, if I'd
Let me
love
know.
to
I'll
do it again
tag
in
it
the
and
future if we
post it.
get closer. If you want to do something, just to talk about the
Yeah.
show, but your show's important to me.
Yeah.
Your show was like I don't want to overstate some of the things that have happened this year, and I don't think I can. But your show was a pretty life-changing event for me. To get close to
Wow.
all those bands and like talk
Yeah.
to people and meet other people on the scene,
Right on.
and it really led into things like writing the review and Steve seeing that, me jumping on and doing this stuff. And your show was really the thing that made me think that's
Well,
like
thank
I
you
could
so
do
much,
that,
man.
and thank you
I'm
so much, man.
honored.
Thank you so much.
I'm honored you would even say that.
It's
I'm
just it's
humbled. I might be a loudmouth, but I'm pretty humble mostly. So I'm like, what the?
no, bud. It's like
Thank
so
you. I mean,
your show is bringing
but
people
the goal
together.
is for people to be comfortable
Yeah,
and enjoy and
you're
make
doing
something
it,
good
man.
in life. I don't really,
You're doing it. I
there's
have.
no ulterior motive. I'm not trying to get rich. I'm just trying to not go poor and have fun while doing it.
Hell
So,
yeah.
look,
That's the
but
best,
yeah,
man.
you're a great addition
Thank you. I
to everything.
appreciate that everyone's been so
Yeah,
welcoming to me and very positive and supportive, and I appreciate that. And I just hope that I can spread the gospel of this music too, because man, people need to be hearing it, and that's what I really
yeah,
liked about meeting you.
cool,
So
man.
thanks for doing that for me, John. I appreciate that.
Hey, no problem at all. My pleasure, brother. You're brother in rock
Right
right
on,
now, right?
brother. All right,
I'll
cool.
see you in a few
Right
weeks.
on. I will see you
Smoke it
soon,
up.
man. If we get a chance to smoke together,
Oh, in Texas, I always bring a vape pen
ah,
there. I always bring a vape pen everywhere I
well.
fly. I never fly with
Well, I
green
bring something
anymore.
special from Colorado.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, dude, out at this place, it's out in the open.
Right on, man.
Smoking is not, there's no one stalking
Well,
around.
hell yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you.
So, sort of
I am glad you brought that thing that up at the beginning because by no means do I want you to think that I had anything but the most fantastic time at your show.
Why not?
Right on. All right, buddy. Well, I'll give you some time, bud. Thank you so much. I'll be in touch, John. Have a great afternoon, man.
Cool.
All right,
Good
see you
seeing
soon,
brother.
bud.
You
All right,
too.
thank you, man. Peace.
Yeah.